Hello, everybody. Today, my guest is Juliana. She's a comedian in Kuala Lumpur. Thank you for being here.
Welcome. Thank you, Muad, for having me.
And I'm very excited to talk to you.
Me too.
I want to say also congratulations for Love KL. You say you did the 63 shows.
Yeah.
During 2021, you did this.
No, throughout 4 years.
The 4 years. Did the COVID affect the shows?
I would say they only affect in terms of me not able to do a physical show. But when it comes to online, actually, technically, I have never stopped running comedy shows because I just changed the format from physical to a virtual one. That's about it.
And what do you think was the positive aspect of the change?
The positive aspect of a virtual comedy show is actually I'm able to meet people like yourself, yeah. Because in real life, it would be so hard to meet people. And Malaysia has a very, like, the comedy scene in Malaysia is rather small compared to other countries. So our exposure to people is rather limited. But because of the pandemic, we are able to meet so many people and also have many people to perform on I Love KL virtually. Yeah.
Wow, it's really weird because even with my podcast, like I'm being able to interview you. I was talking to one woman in Kentucky. It's good to do this, but they always say that you need the real connection with the audience when you are doing it with real audience, and
Yes.
They even say that it's like comedy. It's like fake when it's online. What do you think?
Okay, I think there are actually a few ways to look at it. Of course, there will be some people who say, oh, it's fake, because in front of a live audience, when you are in a captive audience of usually in a live show, they have nowhere to go. They have to sit down and just watch you perform. But on a virtual show, they can turn off their camera, they can mute, and God knows where they are that time, So there is a risk that your jokes are not even being performed to, like there's no one at the other end. But the thing is, I believe comedy to be something like it's not just performing to someone, it's also a skill where it's about muscle memory as well. So for me, it's the reason why I also jump on board to virtual comedy is because not just because I need to perform. I mean, I know that I need to perform, but the thing is, I also want to make sure I don't forget how to tell my jokes, because that really happens for comedians like in my country. We are under lockdown for about 1.5 years, which is quite a long time. And there are some comedians who have not performed at all during this period. And when they come back, there is significant, they are significantly rusted, like they already like cannot remember how to tell their jokes, or they might miss the timing, or they already lose the nuances of performing the joke before pandemic. So I think it is important to still keep the muscle sharp, even though we can be performing to like only 3 comedians, but at least we still know how to tell the joke when it's time to get back on stage.
Exactly. I'm glad you mentioned the muscle memory, because it's like, let's say if you have a boxer or comedian, I rather have someone who is active for the last 1 year rather than someone who's been doing it for 10 years, but the last year he is not active.
Yep.
As you said, that how about people? Do they get offended in Malaysia? How far can you go with your jokes?
I think Malaysia is a very politically incorrect country, because a lot of the jokes that we tell in Malaysia is as unacceptable when we actually bring it to another country, like, because we are quite racist to each other, like Malaysia has 3 major races, which is the Chinese, Malay, and Indian. And usually we will be quite racist with each other, But the thing is, if we were to actually perform that same style in, say, America, no, we will get cancelled, that is because we are rather un-PC, but which makes it fun, the kind of stuff, rather than everything, oh, I have to take care of the audience feeling, that kind of stuff. So normally we don't get easily offended, but there usually is a limit. That means we can't tell, we are not advised to tell rape jokes, like rape jokes, and then what else are like transphobic jokes, homophobic jokes. I mean, it's not advised lah. But then other than that, I think it's pretty, and never touch religion. That's for Malaysia. Yeah, Malaysia is like, they are very protective of the religion because Malaysia is a Muslim country. So unless you are Muslim, you cannot poke fun at Islam. Yeah, so that is only our guideline lah. Yeah.
To be honest, talking in general, it's very dangerous to censor people and to say what you can say and what you cannot say, because I feel like, I'm talking about myself, we don't even know why we exist here.
Yep.
And who you are to say to me which is possible to say or no. And I also think by censoring people, there is always will be more corruption. And that's the good thing about America and Canada, and why everyone wants to go there, because you can say whatever you want. It's
Yes.
really dangerous to censor people. Do you have plans to go to the US, or you want to stay in Malaysia?
Definitely, definitely. Because the thing is, for myself in Malaysia, because most of my topics that I tell, I won't say it's ahead of time if I'm in US, but in Malaysia, people are struggling to understand me a bit. Like, because most of my materials are usually on my autism and also on myself being queer, you know. But when I perform it in a Malaysian audience, half the time they have to figure out what is autism, what is being queer first. They have to figure that out first. By the time I have to go off stage, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's a bit hard, you know. But when I do that in US or UK or even anywhere except Malaysia, even in Singapore, my neighboring country, they get what I'm doing immediately. So I'm always like, even if I don't get to go to the US, I wouldn't mind going to Bangkok, you know, in Thailand, or I wouldn't even mind going to Indonesia, you know, because they are nearby. They are not as expensive as New York, you know, I mean, as the States. But the thing is, I actually want to perform to people who already get my point of view from the get-go, rather than people who are like, what are you talking about? You know, let's go back to racist jokes, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah. Is it like hard for you to immigrate to the US?
Yes, because the thing is, I think if I want to immigrate, because, well, I mean, I'm from a Muslim country, so definitely there will be a layer of censor. But I'm not sure whether has this changed with the new government in United States, because if they do, then there is a better chance for me. But the thing is, I also need to look for a job. It's like, it's not that easy. And I cannot just say that, oh, I'm doing stand-up comedy, you know, the kind of stuff, unless you are Ronnie Cheng, you know, like in Malaysia, we have this comedian called Ronnie Cheng, but he's already very established before he even goes to the United States. So I think this is a bit better lah, compared to like, I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm like, I just hope that I'm able to perform in US, you know, that is not a strong reason to immigrate, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I think you also like try to find the right lawyers that
Yes.
can at least, when you have the good lawyer, you will have more chances. And if it
Yep.
doesn't work, you are like, okay, I got the best, and still like there is no chance.
Yeah. Definitely for me, it's like, I believe that as long as I keep on like working on my craft and all, and then hopefully that financially I'll be much better as well, then I am able to like move over to another country. And there's also like a reason why I can like that I can grow, because again, when I go to the United States, there is much more comedians there than in Malaysia. And if let's say in Malaysia I'm not even standing out, it's very, very hard to stand out in another country, you know. So that's what I feel. So I think the best way for now is to actually build my base in Malaysia, to be so rock solid. The moment when I reach New York, when I perform, people will be like, who the heck is this person? You know, they are so good, you know, and that's
Yeah,
when
yeah,
that's what you want. You don't want to be like going there and like, oh, okay, let's go and figure life out, you know, that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, let's figure it in Malaysia. And then when things are already like solid, you know, I will just go there, you know, then by then I will be hitting the marks. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And how did you get to comedy? Is it like you have funny personality, or what?
No, I'm not someone who has a funny personality. For me, it's like in school, it's like when my teacher eventually heard that I do stand-up comedy, they cannot believe, because for them is, oh, this person in the class hardly talk and then only sit down and do homework, like how the hell are they on stage telling jokes, like they cannot reconcile. So I'm not a person who is like where the class clown, I'm like the ultimate nerd, that kind of stuff. Just sit there, finish my homework. I'm the type who finish homework before school ended, that kind of stuff. So I have no homework, yeah, yes.
It was
So, but how I get into comedy is because I actually first watched a comedy show when I was working as an auditor. Yeah, my boss actually paid tickets for us to watch Mas Jobrani when he came to Malaysia. So Mas Jobrani is an Iranian American comedian, and the time that's the first time of me watching stand-up comedy. So I'm like, wow, I mean, he's very funny and all. And although I don't understand half of his jokes because his jokes are very niche to the Iranian people. So it's a lot of Iranian culture. He only have an opening joke about Malaysians, about how Malaysians eat. That one he hit it. He's like really funny. But after that, we are struggling to catch up with the references. But the audience who are downstairs in the arena, they are all Iranians who stayed in Malaysia. They roar like crazy. It's like they are like it's a party, down there because they understand what is he talking about, everything they know. And he is really funny. But the thing is, it never clicked to me that I will do stand-up comedy one day. I still go back to work as an auditor. Then the second time, I went to watch an improv show at a comedy club nearby. Yeah, because that is my first time entering a comedy club in Malaysia. And I watched, enjoyed myself, and again, next day, hit back to work. So it never really clicked to me that I would do stand-up comedy at all. And until the third time is like, for me, it's like that time I actually like started doing a bit of Toastmaster. Toastmaster is like a public speaking program. And then that time they have this, how would say, humorous speech, So humorous speech, when I actually do the module, I was like, hey, that's very interesting. I would like to see how far I can take humor speaking to the next level. And so I decided to give it a shot at the comedy club. But the other reason is because I want to walk in a comedy club for free lah. So that's why I say, okay, I can perform, So I did my first 3 minutes, and that's how I actually started comedy. Yeah.
How old were you when you were saying all these stories?
Okay. How am I when I started comedy? Is it?
Like when you were doing the editing, when you went to this comedy club. Because, sorry, when you start doing the editing, one day after you went to watch comedy, and
Yep.
then how many days after that did you go and perform in stage?
Okay. I actually first started watching comedy show when I'm 22 years old.
Okay.
So there's one, and then 22. Then after that, when I'm 24 years old, I went to a comedy club to watch an improv show. And finally, when 25 years old, only I started to step on stage for the first time. Yeah. So yeah, so 25, and then but also I only do like a couple of mics, and I like kind of think maybe it's not for me. And I only came back properly to do comedy properly when I'm 27 years old. So it's a bit of a like
Yes, process.
twist and turn where it never really caught on. That means I know about comedy, but I never really feel much until when I came back for the second time to perform again. And from 2017 onwards, I have not stopped performing comedy until now. Yeah.
Because before 22, you knew that comedy exists.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Because like I grew up in Yemen, and until I am 21 is when I find out that there is something called comedy. I didn't know about this art.
Yep.
And for me, it's very disappointing after I know what's comedy. Like it's the best art. It's like always increase your dopamine the more you enjoy it and the more you listen to good comedians.
Yes.
I also wanted to ask you, like, what makes you feel that comedy is for you? Is it like, what makes you feel that, okay, this belongs to me, I have to keep going, I have to work hard?
Oh, okay. This is actually something that I feel when I first perform stand-up comedy. I feel that when I go there and perform, I felt like as though these are my people, like the kind of stuff. Because when they go up on stage, they are telling truth, they are telling truth about their life that people around me, they don't do. People around me, my family, my workplace, people don't usually, they are just very formal. They never really tell much about their life, and they never give you much details. They only like tell you very surface things, and most of all, they never tell about their flaws. They always say about how perfect their life is, how awesome their kids are, how they love the job and the boss, whatever, but nobody actually tells the truth. But in the comedy stage, that's when everything spills. People just spill the beans and just tell whatever they are feeling. They are not hiding, and that's what actually drawn me, to this group of people. They are very, like, they are cynical. They are somewhat cynical. They are also somewhat broken. Life is not perfect for them, and then also they are able to poke fun at it, so they can actually live another day, that kind of stuff. So I'm like, holy shit, this is my people. Although we all of us don't know how are we going to make a living out of this. Nobody know. We are just living a day at a time, doing the best that we can lah, and make sure we are funny lah. That's about it.
No, to be honest, when you what you just say that people doesn't tell the truth in the stage, people, it's a beautiful way to put it out there. I love it. And one more thing I love about comedy is, um, and not all comedians are this type of comedy, but I like when comedians start questioning things around them, which is what I said, the freedom of speech.
Yep.
And it's just nice when you let people say what they want without hurting others. Like, sure, there is limits, but you start to, it opens another door in your mind to question why I haven't questioned this, why this. So for you, like, what do you think? What's like the meaning of life? Or
Meaning of life. So for me, the meaning of life is to actually do what you love. I mean, that's one. And then from there, help as many people as possible. Yeah. So for me, it's about that lah. It's like, and also most importantly, be happy. I mean, you want to be in a place where you feel happy doing what you love, and you can, when you live to your fullest potential, that's when you make the world a very much better place compared to when you are actually in a place where you don't want to be. Yeah. So I made it a point that in life, I mean, when I was much younger, I always try to try to seek approval from people. So I always try to seek approval in my career decision, everything back then. And I'm not happy. At the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I'm not happy and I'm not living to my fullest potential, because it also affects my work. When you're not happy and all, you are in a workplace and you don't contribute much. So that's why for me is I feel that I want to be in a place where I'm happy doing what I love. And then from there, when I live to my fullest potential, that's when I can actually help many people rather than to be angry and upset about life. Yeah.
yeah, it's, they say that we are connected in a weird way. And when you try to do some, when you are like not thinking about yourself, but thinking, for sure, you have to think about yourself and
Yep.
do what you have to do. But in a way, when you are not selfish and you think about others, it makes you more happy. But what do you think about the machine, which is the human body?
Mm. The machine, I will say that the human body it's very complex. It's like, so it's something that we need to take care of it. Yeah, which unfortunately I have not been doing for a while. Yeah. So because the thing is, if we can be having the most brilliant mind, but if let's say our body fails us, then we are unable to convey what we want to people. Like for example, if let's say we want to be a touring comedian, it is also very important to keep our body healthy, because to perform on stage we need to to have stamina, especially if you want to record your 1 hour special and all. And I've seen YouTube videos of some comedians who are unhealthily overweight, so they are obese lah. So even a 5 minute set, I can see they are like catching their breath. And
Wow.
then yeah, and okay, their jokes may be good, but because of their constant huffing and puffing, it kind of ruined the timing of the jokes, and it's quite sad to see that, that kind of stuff. So sometimes I feel that your body also, it reflects in your work somehow, so it is still important to take care, because unfortunately sometimes comedians, when we go out for shows, we start doing nonsense like drinking, and then we eat. Malaysia has this very bad habit of eating, what is it, supper. Supper is like, you are eating, because in Malaysia we have this 24-hour shop. I mean, pre-pandemic, now they have to close at midnight, so no more 24 hours. So after comedy, we will go there and we will eat. And some people actually eat like literally a big meal, like before they sleep. So it's like, I was like, okay, damn. So this is not very healthy for our body. So that's why we have quite a lot of bad habits. So I felt that to be able to perform comedy properly is like, it's important to like take care of ourselves, like make sure we sleep enough, and then treat it as a job, because a lot of times when we get stoned or whatever, or get drunk, we will actually be very unproductive the next day. And again, we will hit the comedy stage just for that 5 minutes, and after that do the same thing, and then wake up in the middle of the day, and we will hardly write and all. So I think it's good to treat it as a day job. That means like, although you are actually a freelance comedian, but you wake up early as usual, and then you write jokes, and then you practice, and then occasionally meet up comedy friends to brainstorm, and then after that at night only, you go up the stage, because that 5 minute of act that you perform actually takes quite a lot of time to hone behind the scene. Yeah. So I think the body is important lah.
I like you need to have cardio. You have to have enough gas for if you want to do your own special for 1 hour, or even some of them would do it for 1.5 or, and for example, what kind of exercises do you do? Or do you do stretching? Because I also feel that it's very attractive when the comedian is also flexible, when they do some jokes and they can bend down or
Yes.
this.
Like some of them are very good with their act outs, like they can stretch, they can move around, I'm actually still working on that. Yeah, I'm still working, because for me is I tend to be very like deadpan, and I'm also like, which is why I'm not like hesitant to do virtual comedy, because I don't really do much act outs. Most of my stuff are like just words, and then like misdirections here and there, which I don't really need to use much of my body parts. But of course, eventually, if I want to like increase, like let's say you want to do longer sets and you want to increase variety, then having the body flexibility is important. That means you want to show like different way of how you do things. So the only exercise I do so far is actually Pokemon hunting, which is to go to the park to just catch Pokemon. That's about it for now. Yeah. But eventually I want to go back to more formal regime where I really like run, or either like climb, make sure that I'm climbing the mountain, not mountain like hills, around your house. And then what else? There's also like, because I think marathons will soon come back. So start off with those 10 kilometers, and then build up from there. So eventually I do want to go back to the time when I'm more rigorous, because back then when I was working as an auditor, our department actually forces to go for runs, yeah, which is a good thing. Yeah.
Wow.
In spite of the busy schedule, we are all like sort of like given a sponsored gym membership where they just pay a bit for us, and then we top up the rest. So it's not too bad. I did my fair share of weight training and all, that kind of stuff. So it was quite good. And I think the effects is so good that until now I haven't gained weight. Like it was 7 years ago when I was still working at the audit firm. It's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. But like, how like, for example, we have joints, and the more we get unflexible, the more we don't stretch. Maybe it's not going to happen now, but in the long term, you will get crumpled. So,
Yes.
like, do you consider this in your daily life? Does it make you make different decisions?
I don't usually do stretching until before I want to go to the stage, which is a strange thing. Like I just want to like loosen up, and then that's about it. And I'm like, oh, I'm ready, that kind of stuff. But I haven't really stretched for a very long time, except when I actually go for classes, like certain classes like acting class or either like improv class. That's when they actually make you do warm ups, and that's the only time I actually stretch. Yeah, so it's a funny thing. I always notice one thing about comedians though, like funny that the way we do comedy, it's not really the same as theater people or even improvisers and all, where they're very heavy on even choir singing, dancing. They are very heavy on warm-ups. I noticed that. But comedians is like, I got jokes, that kind of stuff, and then we just go up the stage and then we just do it. That's the things that I noticed, that because I went for theater, but I'm not like an actor, so I just go there and learn what the art is. And also improv, I'm just going to start like this year, that kind of stuff. So I noticed that they do physical stuff. So I'm like, okay, even if you're lazy ass who doesn't really exercise, go for improv class because you will actually stretch, at least you get your quota of the exercise there. Yeah.
Yeah, I had back surgery um, um, 2 years ago. So I used to play rugby, and
Oh, wow.
but I was like an idiot. I didn't stretch. I was very careless, and
No.
then my spine went on the nerves. On the spine. Now I feel stronger than before the surgery, because many people say if you have back surgery you will have problems,
Yes.
but I make sure every day to stretch at least 30 minutes every day. And I don't want to be like, I feel lucky just for myself. I feel lucky that I had the surgery when I was young. So
Hmm.
it gives me point view about how these things could make you. Like I couldn't even go to the toilet.
Yeah, the
So
awareness.
yes, so now I like it's kind of eyes opening that I have to do this, because then sometimes when you are 40 or 50 it's even worse.
Yep.
And I'm just, that was eye opening, and I'm not gonna do it again. So
Yeah.
always keep up. So for example, in you live in Kuala, I was in Kuala Lumpur, by the way.
Oh, when?
In 2017, something
Oh,
like.
that was quite a while actually, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, what's uh, what's the name for the English? There is place that they teach English in Kuala Lumpur.
Is it British Council?
Exactly, I was going there.
Oh, you go for the British Council that time.
Yes, I used to travel with the train, the
Oh,
big buildings.
I see. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What were you doing in Malaysia? Like, were you working or just on a holiday?
Just I was just studying there. That was the good.
Oh, oh, nice. You're studying.
Like I was still in touch with my family. I was still not worrying about rent, about,
Yeah.
yeah, but it was beautiful. Do you like love the life in Malaysia? You
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. I love the food in Malaysia because and also another thing that gives me a bit of appreciation of Malaysia is the weather. Because I actually went to UK in December 2019, and it was my first time experiencing winter after learning about it so long in the textbooks, because we have never seen snow in our life. Actually, until now, I also haven't seen, because the time when I went to UK, it has not snow yet. So it's just very cold. It's like it's cold to the point that it's bitter, because you feel your bone as well, because they are not just cold, they are raining every day and there's a lot of wind, and the wind makes it very cold. So although it's like 10 degrees Celsius, they haven't even reached negative, but because of the wind, it's just that terrible. So although I love what's happening in UK, because when I perform to people in the UK, they kind of get my point of view immediately. So I enjoy performing to them, although they can be quite a rowdy audience. Yeah, but as long as you've got jokes, they won't heckle you. You know, if let's say you don't have jokes, that's when they have the room to heckle you. So I love performing there, but unfortunately the weather is something that I hope I can escape from, because it is like really bitter cold, and going out, like it's like you have to be fully wrapped up, you know. Like for me, it's like I need to like wear put my clothing time, wearing clothing time is at least 15 minutes just to make sure that you're well covered. In Malaysia, you can just wear a t-shirt and jeans and you're set. Over there, you can't. You have to like wear there's innerwear, there's thermal wear, and then after that you have to wear your own shirt. After that, you have to wear a sweater, and after that, you add on with the cold wear. So by the time, and then socks, you have to wear double, and then everything is like, for me, it's like, I think I become a bit fat over there. It means I yeah, I start to look a bit fat, which is a good thing, you know, it's a good illusion, you know, because I'm very small size actually. So when I go there, I'm like, you know, yeah. So, but then I mean, I was like, although my trip in UK is only 1 month, which is very short. But then the moment I entered the airport to before hitting back to Malaysia, before flying back to Malaysia, I actually went to the airport's restroom straight away, take out all the clothes and just wear my t-shirt and jeans. That's it. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy I'm going back Malaysia. And when I reach Malaysia, the weather is like, you know, like this is why I mean, it gives me a renewed sense of love for my country, you know, in terms of the weather. And the food, don't forget, because British food is so bland, you know, like bland to a fault lah, you know, to the point that I'm like, oh my God, you know, Malaysia food is so good. Yeah.
But what food do you eat? Can you give me the names?
For UK?
No, your favorite food in
Oh
Malaysia.
my, okay, there's a lot of really good food in Malaysia. Our national pride is actually the nasi lemak, which is what you call rice in coconut milk.
Mm,
So I hope that you have tasted it when you're in
yes.
Malaysia. It's really nice. And then you have anchovies, and then it has peanuts. Then it also have a cucumber, and then the egg. You always have egg. And one more thing very important to make nasi lemak good is actually the sambal. Sambal is like a chili sauce, like, and the chili sauce makes or break the nasi lemak. So if let's say there are some nasi lemak that are all right on its own, but the moment you eat the sambal, you feel like, wow, this is amazing. You know, it takes you to the next level. So the sambal is a differentiator. Same goes if let's say the sambal is shitty lah, so it will spoil the whole dish. Yeah, so that makes a break. Yeah, so that is Malaysia. But then we also have Indian food, like the banana leaf rice. The banana leaf rice is like, it's dope, man. I mean, especially the one that I used to go. I mean, that time it was very near my house, but they moved to somewhere else. So I need to go back and eat again. It's like, it's really good. I love the crab curry very much. The crab curry, and then also like they give you a lot of vegetables. So I actually enjoy the banana leaf rice. And then for Chinese food, okay, I will be frank, Chinese food, you have to go up to Penang, northern Malaysia. That's where all the Chinese hawker food, all there are like really good, like the char kway teow, curry noodles, everything. And what else? There's also, Penang has a lot of Hokkien mee, prawn noodles. Yeah, so all these are my favorite food lah. Yeah, chicken rice. Chicken rice is also really good.
Yeah. So you mentioned that in Malaysia there is like three, like the Malaysian and the Chinese Malaysian and the Indian Malaysian.
Yes,
and
yes.
You mentioned, yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm just okay.
You mentioned the Indian food, and you mentioned the Malaysian food.
Correct.
And the Chinese. Is there something?
Yes.
So
Malay food. Malaysian food, actually, I will say that maybe I can narrow it down, is actually Malay food. Yeah, but the thing is, because we love it so much that all three of us, three races, we agreed that nasi lemak is our national dish. We are like, yeah, you know, we love it. So, but Malay food, they also have their own thing. Like they have what you call, what is good for Malay? I mean, it's like they have satay. You know, satay is like meat, you know, and then they just grill meat, and then you will eat with peanut sauce and all. It's really nice. And then what else for Malay food? They have, but unfortunately, a lot of Malay food has very close ties with Indonesian, our neighbor. So my favorite Malay food is usually on top of nasi lemak is also this one, nasi padang. Nasi padang is actually technically Indonesian food, you know, but the preparation, it's like it's very appetizing, you know. I mean, I always love eating nasi padang. Yeah.
That's nice. And for example, for the like Malaysian, Chinese Malaysian, Indian Malaysian, it's like you feel like there is no difference. You are all in the same country, and you are like you can be friends with each other. You can marry everything. Because by the way, in Yemen we have hierarchy. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yes, I know about. Is it similar to the caste system?
To the what? Class, yes,
Like,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
still 100% happening, like it's exists 100% in every day.
Oh, wow. So yeah, I mean, it's Malaysia. I don't think we have the caste system, but we have informal caste system whereby
Mm.
it's not written in stone, but people usually know where they stand. That means like usually, which is why I always watch a lot of like soap operas on like, okay, somebody like a middle class, lower middle income family. The guy is from lower income family. They want to marry a girl from a rich family, you know, that kind of stuff where they have where say business, you know, they have massive business empire, you know, and at the end it's always they cannot be together because unless love conquers all, you know, that kind of stuff. And because the thing is there is no written hierarchy that they can't get married, but it's always something called societal pressure, you know, like
Yeah, that's bad.
yeah, so societal pressure is unwritten, you know, they never write to you, but they will just look at you, you know, like if let's say you were to date someone, they will that are not of your status, the family will say something unkind to you. They will say, they will look at you in a certain way, and that's when you know, okay, I got to go, unless you are strong enough to fight for it, or unless your lover is strong enough to rebel against their family and lose everything, you know. But very rarely that happens because people by nature are afraid to take risks, you know. They don't want to leave their comfort zone and also usually they will just fight for a while, and after that they will say, okay, let's go back to where we are supposed to be. And at the end they will marry people of the same status, whatever, and life goes on lah, you know. So I always think that it's very, very interesting. And Malaysia is like we have a lot of unwritten things. That means talking about marriage, of course we can do intermarriage, but unfortunately Malaysia makes it compulsory. If let's say you are marrying a Muslim, they make it compulsory for you to convert. So that's what pushed back a lot of Chinese and Indians from marrying Malays, because Malays, most of them are Islam, yeah, Muslim. and and then but the thing is, because it's not that Muslim is bad or what, it's just that in Malaysia the way we do it is controlling, you know. The controlling part of it can be suffocating for everyone, because in Indonesia they are also a Muslim country, but people are still very free to do their own practice. That means they can marry a Christian and the Christian person does not need to convert, you know. They can still, they just live their life, practice their own faith. And I felt that Malaysia can be that. It's just that unfortunately we have a control regime where we say, oh no, you have to convert if you want to marry us, you know, that kind of stuff. So that becomes very difficult for the non-Muslims. So that's why we don't have that many mix between Chinese Malay, Chinese Indian and Malay compared to Chinese and Indian. Chinese and Indian is a dominant mix, you know, like there's a lot of people. That's why we say that the fourth race in Malaysia is possibly the Chindian, you know, the Chinese and Indian, you know, they mix together. Yeah.
Wow.
So it happens because Malaysia, our culture is like we are so blended that it is possible to have mixed marriages, definitely. But whether are we free to like do our own thing, that is another thing. So I always think that, but the thing is, even Indian, I mean, and Chinese, they also have their own culture. But because it is not legalized, so nobody says anything lah. I mean, as long as the couple is happy, that's all about it. Yeah.
It's really, for me, I still cannot understand because I also came from Yemen. And I just find it weird that we still do these things as humans. Like it's just ideas and it affects people's life, because for me, you have limited time in this earth, and I think you should go with someone you love. You should go out your comfort zone.
Yep.
Your family shouldn't tell you what to do. And it's sad when people live their life. I should I say like a lie, or like, I don't know, maybe like, but that's how I see it, that it's your life, you have your destiny, and you should
Yep.
just go for it. It's really weird. And also coming from Yemen as a Muslim country, I went to Malaysia, and it's different. Like, it's, for example, two different it's all Islam, but it's just different lifestyle. But the problem is the ideas. It's still crumbling people, making people not uh, do what they want, not. But I think Malaysia is if you are talking about Muslim countries, it's the best Muslim country to live in. At least you can drink alcohol. At least you can
Yep.
be whatever you want, your as genders, and you can do whatever.
Yes. I will say that that is true as a non-Muslim. That means like for myself, if I want to drink, of course, no problem. And if I want to like be very expressive with my gender, I'm also all right. But I cannot say the same for my Muslim brothers and sisters. You know, like they have to have somehow like a way to protect themselves. That means even if they do want to drink, they have to do it very discreetly. And if they want to like be who they are, they usually have to do it in a safe place. You know, they cannot just go out there and walk on the street being flamboyant and all. They can't do that because people will pick on them. You know, it's very natural, you know, the kind of stuff. So I mean, but if you are non-Muslim, they couldn't care less, you know. By the way, as a Chinese and an Indian in Malaysia, um, we are actually considered second-class citizens, you know, like because in Malaysia, Bumi Putra, which is like mostly the Malays, are the highest in the hierarchy. It's not a caste because they can get married to each other. We can get married to each other with conditions, of course. But the country prioritizes the Bumi Putra, which is the Malay people. And the Chinese and the Indian are kind of like, yeah, we are just living in the country, but we don't get much. You know, we have to help ourselves economically and a lot of other things. So that's why they don't really, which is not a bad thing. Like they don't really care much about us. Like, or I mean, compared to their own people, they are very strict. They're like, oh, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. But to all of us, we are like the kid in the house who's like the parents don't bother, you know. So we go out and play with other kids, also can, not a problem. Yeah. So that is what I do feel as someone who lives in Malaysia. Yeah, we are not cared enough. So that's why we are free because of that. Yeah, we are free to be successful. That means we can actually be resourceful and then achieve success in our own way rather than to depend on our country. Yeah.
I had one in my podcast. She used to be in the Air Force, in the US Air Force. And it's beautiful how she was like saying that when she was scared, she was watching the birds. And then she's like, I was like, it's nice to fly. So I went to the Air Force. I met my boyfriend there. We were doing martial arts class. And I told her, in Yemen, there is, the population is like around 30 million. And I told her, there is 15 million, let's say, women, or 10 millions. I'm sure there is women who wish to fly. I'm sure there is women who wish to do many things, because we are humans, we have the
Yep.
mind.
Yes.
And to be honest, and these women will never be able to do it, because as you mentioned before, her family want her to marry this person and just keep things comfort zone, and
Yep.
life is boring. The other thing, what drives me crazy, I was reading an article. I'm very bad with numbers, but I find out that in I don't know how many percent of every population or in humans there should be gays. And also, I'm just thinking like in Yemen, we don't allow this. So I'm sure there is people who would prefer to be with men, and there is people who would prefer to be with women, and they are married
Yeah.
to another or a man who would be a gay, and his family would marry him with other. It's just disaster
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
think
Of
about
course
it.
it is. It's a disaster, which is why when it does happen in Malaysia, I do feel sad, that kind of stuff where I've know of this one person who is kind of like a hardcore gay. That means since young he has already displayed gay tendency and grow up and everything, and everyone knows that he's gay, that kind of stuff. But eventually he went to Christianity. I mean, he went to church and all, and I don't know what happened. He ended up marrying a woman, and for me, it's like we all know that. I mean, we all feel sorry not just for him, but for the girl, for the woman as well, because because this is going to affect intimacy. This is what I know. Like if let's say you are not by default, you are always attracted to men, it is very hard to be happy when you are with a woman, the kind of stuff. So I feel like, oh damn, I mean, not just you did yourself a disservice, you are also doing the woman you marry a disservice. She could find a man who genuinely able to be passionate with her rather than you who is like, I'm just doing this because I want to go to heaven, like the kind of stuff. I don't want to go to hell, Yeah, it's like for me, it's like, okay,
That's
Yeah. So
weird.
it
It's
is, it is
not you
weird.
are. You live life that it's not you.
Yeah, it's like, so for us, it's like we are a bit surprised, but the thing is we say, oh, it's all right. I mean, we respect his decision nevertheless. It's just that in our heart, because as I mean, I'm queer myself, so I'm like, okay, I mean, why? Because this does affect your intimacy. If let's say you don't feel yourself, then or either you have to hide a part of who you are, then that's when it just didn't work out, because your wife cannot also get into where you are, like because you are not showing everything, then and it won't be a happy ending, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, okay, I know you are not doctor, but I'm gonna ask you something like you are a doctor.
Yeah.
When, for example, someone who is gay or he likes like he married women,
Mm.
is it possible to have kids or is there some complications?
There's no complication
Oh
because
my God.
physically, biologically, everything still works, like the man's reproductive organ and the women's reproductive organ, as long as they have no problem, like there's no health issue, definitely they can still have children. But whether they are enjoying sex as much as they like, or either are they enjoying good communication with each other, that is another question. I think it's not just about building a family, it's also about whether are the couple already strong, because if they are not very strong, they have kids, that just adds on to the complication that's going around. So so I always think that a lot of things are not biologically limited, because even if you are gay, you can still have children, that like there's a way they can have children, like two men's. What they do is they actually contribute their sperm and they get a surrogate, a woman to surrogate them, the baby. So
Ooh.
that's what they do. I mean, I watched that when I was watching some queer shows and all, and I'm surprised that they build a family, in spite of being gay, So that's what they do. They get a woman to surrogate, and for the lesbians, they go to a sperm bank. They will go to a sperm bank, get a sperm, and then they will just they be the mother, they will just go through the 9 months of pregnancy and give birth to a children. The only thing I always say that this is, I don't know, this is a joke I had in my mind. I haven't performed that yet, but maybe this is the first time I perform it. The only time my kid, if let's say my partner is a woman, when I have a kid, when they dirty talk in the future, they have problem with this question: who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Yeah, they will have this problem because technically both of them are not daddies. They are like parents. That kind of stuff.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
I have too many questions while you are talking. So, uh,
Sure.
you said if there is two gays, they can like mix their sperm and then they can have one woman. They choose one
Yeah.
woman or one woman would contribute.
Yes.
This
But
woman,
usually
yeah.
But usually these are people who are professional surrogates. That means they are not, they just do it, while their body can. I mean, this is quite rampant in America. There are
In
people who
America,
are willing to use their womb to actually, and people will pay them, of course, to give birth to children and all. Yeah. So yes.
so that's like a job to give like factory.
Yes, correct. There's no relationship,
Humans.
nothing,
Mm,
just professional. But of course, they have confidentiality agreement, and they have something like you can't claim that this child is yours, something like that. They can't come back and fight for it, like, hey, this kid, I give birth, they can't do that.
really?
So and for the same goes with the men. They can't come back and say, hey, this sperm is mine, they can't do that. It's like because they have already signed documents, yeah, to relinquish their ownership of the human being, that they have met.
So
So it was quite interesting.
Malaysia is Muslim country, but you can have this kind of agreement.
We can't have, but this is what I watch in America. Yeah, in Malaysia, no, we can't. At most, they can do adoption, but again, adoption is another can of worm. It's not as easy even for straight parents. So I think it's like quite far-fetched. That means unless the adoption is done illegally, which is not in the best interest of the child. So normally, from what I know, even if the queer people that they want to get married and have kids, from what I know, if they are committed to each other, they go to another country to legalize it. That means they will go to New Zealand to get married. And then from what they do, they also adopt the children legally in the country that they originate, something like that. They do some form of procedures, but they are all still not legal in Malaysia, unfortunately. Yeah, because the premise of marriage is only a man and a woman. If anyone else, your marriage is illegal. Yeah.
Wow,
Yep.
unbelievable. It's really fascinating. So another question, when there is two women that they are married, uh, how do they get to decide which one will have the kid? Because I feel like if I was women and I was married, I would be like me. I want to have it in my body so I can have more connection to it.
Yeah, I think it's all communication. That means because again,
Mhm.
it's always like not even like, let's say, for example, let's say if I have my partner who is a woman, then if let's say my woman partner wants to have a baby, then I will let her do it. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm like, okay, it's all right. But if let's say, oh no, if let's say my other half is like, I'm not comfortable having a baby, but I want to have a child, then I will consider to like, okay, let's go through the process, that kind of stuff. So that is for me lah. But then I'm not sure about how other lesbian partners do it. I'm not sure how they do it. But for me, I will go on a more give and take thing, whereby if let's say my wife actually wants, then go for it. But if my wife don't want, I'm like, it's okay, I will take it then, the kind of stuff.
Wow. Because to be honest, as I told you, let kids pay for their parents all the time, and it's really unfair. So if my dad was gay and he married my mom and they have me, as you said, the ending will be always sad, the long term, because how much you will handle 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but at the end, or the house won't be happy. There is something weird. The kids will grow in weird environment, like something wrong. But if my two dads or two would say moms, at least there is nothing weird.
Yep.
I was born and my mom chose to be like this, my other mom chose like this, or my dad chose like, and it's like at least people are there is nothing happy and people are honest.
Yes. I think I always believe that family is not just like, because you see, if let's say you grow up in a dysfunctional family, like although your parents are like straight, they fit the society's mold of a happy family. But if inside on its own, it's problematic where they fight with each other every day, they beat each other up, and then the children will grow up in trauma and all. And compared to a family who is like they may be queer, but the thing is they jointly raise, and I think is the problem here is not about sexuality or gender identity. It's more about one thing is communication and also about parenting. I think the main issue is more about parenting and how they like raise the children. It doesn't matter who your parents are, but it's more like how they bring you up. So that leads the child to grow up in a certain way. It's not about the parents like gender identity or what lah. Because I always think that at the end of the day, we are all humans at the end of the day. So no matter what we identify it as, who we are and everything, as long as we be responsible, it's like things will eventually work out. Although it may be different and people who don't understand may not accept it. But we start small lah. We start from ourselves, our family, and then eventually we will move out from there. Yeah. And family, we can also call the chosen family, whereby when your actual family don't accept you for who you are, because they expect you to be perfect. Your parents usually expect you to be perfect, and when you don't turn out to be who they want you to be, that's when they may disown you, or either they may cut communication with you. And also eventually you have to find your own chosen family of people who accept you for who you are, and just take you as who you are. I think that's most important. Yeah.
Exactly, like as you said, like they want you to be perfect in their own ways, which is not
Yep.
even perfect. I
Yeah.
didn't say, and exactly like the kids get traumatized, the programming, the way I rather have kids growing up in healthy environment, and I
Yep.
don't care what gender are their parents.
Yeah. It's nothing to do. In fact, I think all these things are the least to do with the identity of the parent. It's more about the environment itself. Like, is it a healthy environment, or is it an environment where parents fight every day, and it's not good lah. I mean, there's a reason why like people like me and some of our other friends, most of us, we don't come from family that are functional. We come from dysfunctional families, and families who don't really like understand what we are going through and all, and it's quite difficult. So at the end, we actually found comfort in doing comedy, that kind of stuff, because there's so much of trauma that happened at home, and it's like it's a way for us to find our own personality, as adult, so we ended up in comedy.
Most, like I would say, most comedians or interested comedians have like fucked up life. Otherwise, they won't be interesting.
Yes, most of us are, we are like, I mean, there is something that pulls us to comedy, definitely. It's like, because I do have a lot of other friends who trust me, they are much funnier than me. When they are in a, gathering, when we go for potluck, whatever, they are the life of the party. They tell jokes, they are like really funny. And people like me are like, I'm just like watching, and then also like, but the thing is, I get talkative with the right person. That means like only that one or two people in the group, but other than that, I'm like, okay, this is party, and then what time am I going home, that kind of stuff. So I'm not the life of the party. But
Mm.
the thing is, reason why most of them are end up, they are funnier, but the thing is they don't really find comedy an attractive thing, is because most of them are like, they are having life that are functioning pretty well, like they have a stable job where it has their own challenges, but then it is not something that is fucked up, and their family is like, okay, they are rather supportive and all. So usually it's hard. I mean, even some of them do comedy. I mean, okay, I mean, I'm not going to exclude people who are from loving from good family background, or loving family or good profession, from doing comedy. But it is a bit harder. That means, if let's say you are someone who has life, who is working pretty well, to actually find jokes, because everything is like, it's hard to find the flaw, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
So your life is already functioning. So the thing is about comedy is also about emotions. Like comedy is not just jokes, it's also the emotion behind the jokes. And when you're from a family that is kind of like lovey-dovey, and all, you don't, your emotions have not gone to the extreme. Yeah.
Mm.
And then you also have not seen like enough things. So there are some people who will tell me things that like, oh, you shouldn't talk about your mother this way, your mother at the end of the day is still your mom, that kind of. But for me, it's like, but my mom hates me, that kind of stuff. So, but there are people who cannot relate to that, because they are from family who are like, are very like nurturing, and also of course they will give me unsolicited advice, like, why you talk about your mom like that on stage, that kind of stuff. So, but the thing is, because their emotion have not been going to extremes, so it's hard to actually do very well in comedy, you know. So, or either the reverse can happen. This person once had a shitty life and they are very funny in the at point of life. But the moment they start doing a bit better, they become not so funny. Like because life is starting to work out for them. So that's why I feel like it's a very funny thing. Comedy, it's abusive, you know. Comedy is abusive, you know. It's like you have to be in a what state of mind to actually be funny, you know. That is what I feel. It's a very strange art. It's a in a way like you say it's fucked up, so it attract all the fucked up people there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like crazy. And to be honest, I'm so like proud, happy, and if like I don't know how to put it in words when I find people like you. It's like um in a way you made your own decisions. You didn't let like you are going out there, you are making jokes about your mom if you think that's okay and that's right and that's helpful. You are doing what you want, and I think that's powerful because even for me, I okay, I try to make more jokes about Islam. Try to make more jokes about Islam. Why? Because I was victim in a way for some wrong ideas. So some people they are like, oh, don't make jokes about the religion or don't hurt people. No, I think that in a way it's like a mission, and I don't want people to lose their life on wrong ideas, or like maybe through comedy when you make jokes about some funny rules of the religion, someone will
Yep.
question it, and maybe he will be like, yes, maybe I could just be gay
Yeah.
when they hear someone else talking. So
Yep.
why would I not make jokes about this? What I feel it's right, it's right. So
Yep.
it's powerful when you are able to just express yourself.
Yes, definitely.
I want to talk about your comedy writing,
Mm.
and then we can wrap it up.
Okay, cool.
You
Yes.
want to go to sleep? It's 10 o'clock your time.
No, I'm not someone who sleeps early. I usually sleep like about 3 a.m., you know, which is how you see me in comedy show, like those virtual shows, because let me just have a drink, yeah. So because I don't, I mean, it's not to say I don't sleep, I do sleep, but my timing is a bit different from normal people, you know.
Hmm.
I'm
Um,
quite nocturnal. So it's like 11 o'clock is when my mind really like, oh, like so aware. And then I will just like do most of my other stuff about until 3 a.m. Then by the time I feel my eyes a bit droopy, then I will sleep. And I usually wake up at 11 a.m. or so. Lah. But again, that depends because sometimes my body is like, it wakes up before the alarm rings. So sometimes it's like maybe 10, I'll be up before the alarm even ring at 11. Yeah.
wow, that okay. So for me, I live in Cyprus, and I'm kinda leaving New York time
Mm.
because I have no friends here. I know no one in this.
Cyprus.
It's not that it's hard to find people. It's just the mentality. I couldn't find, people who
Mm.
are so
Yes.
open-minded like New York. So I decided.
Yeah, yeah.
So I decided to live in the matrix until I.
Yes.
So now I wake up like 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock. Like today for me, I wake up early
Hmm.
and I go to bed, and next day 8 o'clock in the morning,
Wow.
and I would only go out to the gym, to supermarket, and all is and I work online as well, and
Hmm.
most of my time is doing Zoom with people, comedians from New York,
Hey, that's good. Yeah, I mean,
workshops,
I think it's
hosting.
really good.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you're also preparing yourself to, when you do move to New York, at least you are already prepared. You've performed to New York people before. I think that's very important because, like, how long have you been in Cyprus yourself?
So I came to Cyprus to study the university 4 years and a half ago.
Oh, that's quite a while you're in Cyprus already.
Yes, and I made many friends, but I don't know. That's part of just doing what you want and not making people affect you. I just thought that they are not for me anymore. And
Yeah, you
I,
have outgrown them.
yes, and my time is more valuable to do comedy work, go to the gym. I also, as you said, we all come from crazy families. Uh,
Yeah.
the, in a way, when I start to grow, I find out that I'm like, I'm fucked from the
Yeah.
from life, from every.
Yes.
So now I'm
Yeah, it's like out
away.
of place and all lah. It's like for me, it's I'm like one of the reason why I ended up in comedies because I realized that I'm an outsider in a lot of circuits. That means like the wavelength of a lot of people in my life are not the same as like we are all different wavelength, which is why comedy is like kind of like the wavelength is the closest to mine. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of like yes, I'm aware to the point where I cannot even waste my time if it's not
Yes, yes.
like, because I also feel that I need to escape my life now, and I
Yep.
need to live every second like it depend on it. My escape depend on every second in my day. I would even control my sleeping hours, everything. And like people who were born in the US from family who tell them you can be gay, you can bring your boyfriend home, you know.
Yeah.
You can, if you are like lesbian, you bring your girlfriend home, you can be married, we can all be family. Uh, they don't have to worry about expenses. They can go to
Yeah.
Europe or in Canada.
True.
Uh, the- uh, Still, you have to do an escape. Like you have to always do an escape until you reach your full potential and you know who you
Yes.
are. I
That
think,
is very important.
yeah, if, for anyone in the US or here, like I feel like we are trapped in this body and
Yes, yes.
to
Yes, we are trapped, because the thing is I remembered that one time my dad actually want me to go back home with my mom, that kind of stuff. But for me, is what I told him is very simple. I've left home for about this is my 6 years, 6 year moving out of home. And because the thing is my mom is actually very narcissistic, she's I mean, although it's undiagnosed, but from the characteristics, I know that she is like narcissistic mother, that kind of stuff. So it's difficult to deal when somebody is always putting people around them, putting people around them down, just to feel good about herself all the time. So um, I'm not because the thing is sometimes when you have a narcissistic mom, they want to mold you as who they want to be. That means
crazy.
yeah, it is like my mom, like she have a certain idea of, like she also have shortcoming in her life where she did not graduate from school and she did not marry a rich man. My father is not a rich man, and also she is not like living the life she wants, and that's when she wants to impinge all those on me, like, oh, you have to wear certain clothes, you have to meet certain people, you cannot be friends with certain people, all this. And it's so controlling. Oh, you must do your accountant job, you cannot do comedy, you are a woman, you're not supposed to speak on stage. So a lot of things that she says is very limiting, which is why I decided to just go off, because I can never be the comedian I am today if I'm still at that house. So for me, it's like it's scary. And when my father told me like, oh, you should go back to stay with your mom again, whatever. And for me, I say no. I'm already an overgrown bonsai. A bonsai, like a bonsai is actually being cut every time.
Yes,
So yeah, they're being trimmed and then they never grow. They are always staying in that little pot. But because I free myself from the pot, I'm the bonsai that free myself from the pot. My roots are all growing like crazy, roots, and then the tree is also growing in their own way where it's not being trimmed and all. It's impossible to go back in that pot again. That is what I told
exactly.
my father. Yeah,
I
and you need to do that too. Yeah,
sorry, you need to do that. What?
as in for yourself is you also need to break out of your existing flower pot. So you have to like only then you can grow. I mean, it's painful definitely, but to actually experience growth, you have to get out from the bonsai pot lah. That kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to the unknown.
Yep.
I always say to people, I'm not against my mom. I wish to love my mom and I wish
Yep.
to have the best mom in the world. I'm not against my dad. I'm not against the religion. But taking the example of a mom or a dad who had a hard childhood and they couldn't recover,
Yep.
because for me the brain is like machine.
Yes.
And for example, God forbid my mom or my dad or yours or anyone, the machine get crumbled, they
Correct.
couldn't recover. Okay, it's sad.
Yeah,
But
of
as
course.
I said before, I also want to escape, and I'm only gonna put in my life what's good, and
Yes.
not with emotions, because emotions are very dangerous. So,
Correct.
and I also do believe that, as you said, we are all humans, and we have and that's why I also want to do comedy to help others. Maybe like I want to know also what makes you go out of your comfort zone. What makes you decide that this is not, because some people would spend all their life and they won't have the power. And I feel like through comedy you can empower people. You can, and also people are laughing. People start questioning. Uh,
Yep.
and I want to know what like empower you and makes you, because it's hard, it's unknown, and you are like uncertain.
Yeah, actually, what empowers me is connection. That means when people, because in life, I'm generally very like I'm an outsider. That means when I go for social circles and all, like meetings and all, I don't usually get connected very quickly. That means I will just sit around and observe, that kind of stuff. And when people speak to me, only I will start speaking.
Mm.
But generally, I feel that as though like it's very hard because there are people who tell me that they find me a bit of a that they so I mean put it in a not so nice way. They say that I'm a weirdo sometimes, like it's not because I speak something weird or what. It's more like because the way I carry myself has a weird energy. And I think eventually I get to realize that it's autism, where you don't get the memo. Everyone can be very like happy, crazy, whatever at the party, and you are the one who is like still sitting there, like still wondering like why am I here, that kind of stuff. Like you are the one who never get the memo. So for me it's like I feel that, oh, okay, I don't get connected. And I always feel that I'm very disconnected to people around me in my life. Like my mom don't understand me, my brother don't understand me, my father also don't understand me. And then at work, nobody understands me, like as though the whole world like don't understand who I am. But when I step on stage and perform comedy,
Mm.
and that's when like it's surprising when people start laughing and at the end they start talking to me
Mm.
about how I have changed their like perspective or how I have managed to bring up a topic that is not been spoken before, like talking about autism or being queer and all. And there's this one time when I was performing Zoom comedy on a showcase, and it's a contest actually, yeah, a Flappers Comedy Club contest. And the thing is, I did not make it through the prelim rounds. So, but for me, it's fine because I wanted stage time. So, contest is a form of stage time, even though you if you win, it's a bonus. If you don't win, yeah, it's fine. I mean, get to know some new friends. And so happened this another contestant. He's a parent, and he texted me. He said, I love your set very much because I have a kid who is autistic and I have a kid who is queer. I was like, wow, it's like just connection, like you hit it at the right spot because when people in their life are on the spectrum or either like queer and then they themselves may not have like a good feeling about it sometimes because in Malaysia especially these are all still very conceptual to them. They don't really understand what being autistic is or they don't understand what is queer like. So it's very hard. But when I actually told them about by telling jokes, then these people suddenly like, hey, I mean, I can understand now, like, oh, my brother is autistic, thank you for doing this, for telling jokes about for actually putting comedy in a putting autism in a much better light, that kind of stuff. So I think that is what motivates me to do comedy. And I'm not a popular comedian as well. Like in Malaysia, like say I'm in a comedy contest where they rank by audience popularity. I'm usually the one who may score well in terms of laughter, but when it comes to they have to vote that one person because everyone is usually given a vote. That vote will usually go to the more popular acts, like people who do the more familiar topics like oh, like, dating, like, what else, like, racist jokes, sex jokes, whatever, they will usually get the popular vote. But I won't get the popular vote. But the thing is, at the end of the show, that person who voted for me will come and identify themselves to me. Like, hey, I'm the one who voted for you, thank you so much for telling, because I'm the invisible one in the family. No one sees me, and you speak my heart, that kind of stuff. So for
Wow.
me is, I feel that I don't need like a very big fan base, but even if it's like every room I go, like say 100 people, but 2 or 3 people kind of like get me, and then I'm actually very happy just to get that 2, 3 lonely people, who feels the same as me, and then to be on the same boat as me, and eventually I will have a, this is my own vision lah, where eventually I will have a performance, my solo show, to a room of 100 people, but they are all the 100 people from the many shows I have performed, and these are people who identify with me, get my jokes, and then they love me for who I am. And that is my vision. That means I don't need to be performing to arena of 20,000 people, but that 100 people who gets me and makes a difference. And if what I say makes a difference in their life, I'm very happy. Yeah.
I think you are doing very well, and I think that you deserve to be like in more open country like the US. Like
Yes.
I really think that you,
Yeah.
you deserve it, and you should like work hard for it. I think I don't know how hard is it for people from Malaysia, but um, it's crazy. For me, it's hard as well, but it's almost done. The puzzle are almost solved. Um,
Yep.
I was watching, do you watch UFC? I know I don't care about fights, but do you watch?
UFC, what
Yeah.
is it?
Oh, so
Wrestling, is it?
UFC, it's like the biggest organizations of mixed martial arts in the world.
Oh, MMA.
I
Okay.
mean,
I have not like sit down and watch a match yet, but I've heard
MMA,
about it.
yes, it's the.
Yeah.
So there is the one who is the champion now. He's from Cameroon.
Ooh,
One
Cameroon.
So one time, as I told you, now for me to leave Cyprus is almost okay. Like it's just matter of time, but I
Yes.
already get things done. Um, so one time I had hard days before now, like where I was still more uncertain about what's going to happen. And I like to listen to these people who were worse than where I am now, and they still figure it out. So this
Yeah.
is a guy from Cameroon. He traveled 3 months from Cameroon to Morocco.
Wow.
In Morocco, he stayed 2 years, living like eating from the garbage, homeless. Try
Wow.
try to get to Spain because 2 years they even catch him.
Yes.
And then from Spain he went to France, and then from France he went to the US. And
Wow.
it's maybe I can even send you the podcast. He did it with
You should, you should, you should,
you
because I want to hear about his journey as well.
yeah. Do you know
Yeah,
Joe
like,
Rogan podcast?
hmm?
Have
What
you
podcast?
have you heard about Joe Rogan podcast?
Of course, I heard of Joe Rogan before. Yeah, in
This
fact,
guy
I've
was
watched an
yeah.
episode of him with Anthony Jeselnik, and that's my favorite episode.
So this guy was in Joe Rogan podcast, and that's
Wow,
yeah,
I need to. You can send me the link after that. I really want to watch. Yeah,
yeah.
it's difficult lah. I mean, for me, is I agree with you on the part where we need to be in places with whose people have more open-minded and all. So because for me is there are times in my heart when I perform in Malaysia, I do have a bit of resentment. I mean, I'm indirectly making it public here, to my Malaysian people, where I feel that like half the time I'm like, because people don't really get my jokes and all. So in Malaysia, I hardly get booked on show. I do feel a bit resentful because I felt that had I been in United States or UK, I would have been booked every show every night, that kind of stuff, because I am a mixed pot. I'm kind of like um a mixed bag where I'm Asian, and then I'm on the spectrum, I'm queer, And yeah, so I'm kind of like a mixed bag of experiences, of experience. And I'm also from a dysfunctional family. So there is a lot of things that I kind of like cover, it's just that unfortunately in Malaysia, not many people see what I see, like for example, like they don't get what being queer is, they don't get what being autistic is, and also dysfunctional family, oh, that is nothing, that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So it's
maybe
like,
you should listen to your family. It's your mom.
yeah, correct. That is what they usually say. And also, finally, it's like when you talk about being Asian, like, so what? We are all Asians, like there is nothing special about saying that you are Asian. So for me, it's like I feel that as though like I'm trapped, in some way in Malaysia. It's just that for me, I felt that this is what I have, the best I have so far, like which is to actually work my craft in Malaysia because I haven't got the fundings yet as well. Because to actually go to the United States immediately, then that I have to have some, I need to have money to survive, or either a way to make money when I'm there. Because when you are already a working comedian over there, then that's when you can actually like survive there, because you don't want to just go there for a month and realize that I don't have money to survive there anymore. So there is a reality in it. So for me, I say my aim is to actually be so good in what I do that even the gatekeepers don't matter anymore,
Mm.
like I think that this is reality whereby even do they have any comedy clubs in Cyprus?
No,
No,
no.
right?
One restaurant is like
Yeah.
open mic. I told them, can I come and do comedy? He's like, what's comedy? Only open mic for music. They only know music.
Yeah, so it's
Like,
hard for you. It's like for me, is we have comedy club, but the thing is, there's something called the gatekeeper, whereby they are the one. Okay, in short, they are the one who decide who is funny, who is not. So sometimes, unfortunately, they will see you in a way where they will already from the get go decide you're not funny. So it is an uphill battle compared to people who are not really funny. They could be hacky, but the thing is because their kind of humor fits the palette of the gatekeeper, so they have more opportunities than people who doesn't fit in the palette of the gatekeeper. So for me, it's like there is a bit of like I feel like, oh, okay, so they kind of have a picture of who they find funny, and anyone else who doesn't fall into the box, who doesn't fit into that category, are not funny. So for me, is there are times I feel like, okay, so my only way to actually bypass all this is to actually be so good in what I do that they no longer matter. The gatekeepers cannot hold me anymore, cannot hold me back anymore. That is more my aim lah. Yeah.
I really don't know what to say. It's just I feel you so much, and like I feel how hard it is, and I just want to say that like you are really worth it. Your mentality and the way you see things is so amazing, so valuable, so special. And yeah, like as I told you, it's life is hard, it's unfair game, and you really don't know, maybe you're gonna be, but I still do believe that the harder you work, the more you think, the luckier you get also. Like
Yes.
um, y- that's what I told you. I like to listen to people who were worse than me, like someone who were in the desert, homeless. So I'm
Correct.
like, it's fuel for me. It's so much.
Yes.
So when I see
Yeah.
myself now, it makes me grateful and makes me do more and be
Yep.
like, don't be coward, you know?
Yes.
So that's very valuable to me to watch them. Do you want to say something about this point?
Oh, okay. As in, yes, I mean, I would say that gratitude is definitely something that is very important, and we will always have people that are. I mean, I always make it a point to sometimes also find out about like how people like get success, because a lot of times we think that it's overnight success. Like there's this actor that I know. He's a Korean actor. His name is Jong Hae In.
Mhm.
So I love his acting. His acting is really good. And even though there are people who say that he always pick the same romantic genre to act in, but even in the similar genre, he can bring out different nuances. That means even his romance role, people would think that, oh, he will be playing the romance role the same way, but he doesn't. So he always have different layers to the different characters he play, although the genre is the same. And I actually read about him very recently, about when he talked on a TV show. He mentioned about how he actually, because that time it was so hard as a rookie, as a rookie actor in Korean. And Korea is a very competitive country, so competitive, and it's very hard. So for him, it's like when he was doing a historical drama, acting in the historical drama, he actually fell off from a horse, and he injured his spine. But the thing is, he didn't show any signs of pain and all. And he just continued the shooting until the end and all. And so many years later, only he mentioned about this in the TV show. And the reason why he didn't want to reveal his pain is because he frightened he will lose the role. And when I hear that, I was like, wow, like it hurts. I mean, I feel it in my heart because at a rookie phase, if let's say you lose a role, it can be life-changing. It's like you miss a role to actually the casting. Once the casting changed, because oh, you are hurt, we can't let you perform anymore, we have to get another actor. And then he kind of, but that time when you are in a position where you cannot choose yet, like you are in a position where you are not in demand yet, you have to take everything that comes your way. And even that he's also trying to defend. And I was like, wow, now he has come to a point where he can actually choose whatever drama he wants.
Yeah.
And for me, that is so inspiring, because there are a lot of people who also say that, oh, these people, they are just handsome, like, oh, that's about it, but you don't know there's so much of pain that they put in their acting work, in their research process, and the injuries that they sustain just to put on a convincing performance. And this is something that I really respect. And I always make sure that I read up when sometimes newsfeed, they recommend something like, back then all these people, they start off from really bad position, and you actually see, like, you can't believe that. And I agree with you, some of them start off as worse position than I am. Like some people I know, like there's this famous actor Ji Chang-wook, also the same thing. When he was very poor and he's in his rookie day as an actor, he only eat rice and salt. I was like, what the hell, man? Like that is really worse, because at least for us, we still can have basic meal, a proper meal still. And these are people who are having just rice and salt to get by the days. And now they are at least having a better life, and I'm happy for them, But they have worked very hard to be where they are today. So it also gives me a lot of inspiration that wow, they had it harder than me, and yet they are very strong. And they because of that, they get to where they are today, because of their character, their perseverance, their resilience and all. Yeah.
Yeah, I also think that the mind is a very strong machine, and you can
Yep.
navigate the world with your mind. You can solve the puzzle and you can escape with this
Yep.
machine. I don't know. You should watch. There is a new show in Netflix. It's called The Human, The World Within, and
Ooh, wow.
it's just fascinating to see how your body works inside. And for me, what was more fascinating is we have like, I think, billions of neurons in the brain, and they change, they become different when you work harder. It's
Yes.
like I would say that our brain is like, if you use it, it's a very strong machine, and you can navigate your life. You can get where you want if you use it the right way. If you do what
Yep.
you want, if you go out of your comfort zone, if you are who you are, and
Yes.
it's really powerful. Um, Let me ask you about your writing, because I want to ask you
Sure.
before we end it. But
Okay.
I really love to talk with you, and like I feel like you have message, you are powerful, I mean, like, I just want to tell you that keep the work. I'm so proud, and
Yay.
I'm so happy to talk to people like you. Uh,
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm happy to talk to you too. I mean, I'm grateful. Come to Malaysia anytime, Yeah.
Hopefully, we meet in the US. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, of course, definitely. I'm like, for me, is I also have an aim to actually go to US. Is like, but again, I always believe in the law of attraction, where I don't want to just say that no, I have a lot of difficulties that I cannot go to US. I told myself that I will be on Jimmy Fallon show, or either I will be on a, I mean, I'm not sure whether it's Conan still doing it, or whatever show, daily show that is on. And then I don't know how I will get there, but I will be there. You know, that is law of attraction where the universe will work out the how. You just need to know where to go. Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
that's important. Yeah.
I would advise you also to listen to Jordan Peterson. Have
Mm.
you heard of him?
Yes, yes. My housemate is very big on Jordan Peterson.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, he's
She's
amazing.
like,
He's
oh, you must
designer.
listen to Jordan. So good. And it gives you chills, you know, the kind of stuff like
He
like
talks so
whatever he
much,
say is so it hits in the deep of your soul, depth of your soul. Yeah.
and he talks too much about the law of attraction and how to
Yes.
navigate your life. So
Yeah.
you're writing. Do you like write based on your fun? Like, do you have funny past? Do you like
Mm.
how do you write? How do you create your materials?
Oh, okay. For me, it's like a big bulk of my materials are actually from real life experiences. Yeah, and so from there only I will see what I can do to make it more like to heighten the reality of it and make it funny and then make it absurd. And although I don't really have a defined style, but recently a friend of mine helped me define my style, which I'm grateful for. And what he said is you are actually your type of comedy is you are black humor, um, and then you are actually surreal, you know, surrealism. So and also you have some deadpan as well. So I'm like, oh, that's a very interesting category, you know, like black humor and surrealism. Surrealism is actually absurdism. Yeah. So and it's definitely conceptual because my type of comedy I deal a lot with concepts. Yeah. So it's quite interesting to actually put the concept and then let people like see through their eyes. Oh, so this is what autism is, this is what queer is, this is what feeling invisible is, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Who helped you? Is it comedian? Do you work with other comedians?
I do, you know, I actually once worked with a comedian from the UK, and he is brilliant, you know. He is like he knows how to see the because I tend to be quite long-winded, and sometimes that is how my mind works because my mind churns out a lot of stuff, and I do my thinking through talking. You know, sometimes like when I talk to people, only then suddenly I'm like, oh yeah, I have the idea. You know, then only I start implementing my ideas. So that goes the same for my jokes. That normally when I go up on stage, if let's say I'm doing the material for the very first time, I'm not surprised if it bomb. You know, because it's long-winded. It's just a lot of story, a lot of things, a lot of information, but eventually I will have to like, you know, you listen to the audience and the audience will tell you what is funny, what is not. That is one. So you can edit based on those like stuff that they laugh at. And after that, I will actually bounce it to my friend who are like they are editors by profession, you know, like they know how to get to the point. So one of them is like a news reader, so he is very good at seeing the point of a joke, and he will just tell me, hey, you don't need to say so much, you just say in this couple of words and it will be really funny.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
also another friend of mine who always say what more, what is more, like I already hit a potentially funny premise, but there are times I stop there and I don't know how to go forward. I just stop there, and she was like, think more, where are they going now from there, you know, like for example, you talk about your boss smoking in a room full in your workplace, which is full of caterpillars, pupas, you know, and for me, is my idea is these caterpillars will grow up to be butterflies who are nicotine addicts, you know, and I would just stop there. But my friend will say, think, where are these butterflies going to look for their nicotine? You know, where are they going? You know, and it's important to have friends who can prompt you to do that. You know, like one is to edit you, another is to expand your view, like what more, what is more. And then there's this one comedian I work with, he was in the UK and he writes for Mock the Week. You know, Mock the Week is a BBC program, and he is really good, and he just knows how to see, like he is about the wording, the order of the wording. For him is your order of the wording makes a difference in how much laugh you get. And for me, it's like the materials that he worked with me, it's like so good that he has, like, for me, it's like that time in the pandemic time, I only paid him 20 pounds. Yeah, because Malaysia ringgit sucks. Okay, I cannot pay him his hourly rate, but he offers to help us in the pandemic that time. So I actually paid him only 20 pounds, but that investment has helped me earn a lot throughout my comedy life, you know. So that's why for me, it's like I say, eventually, if I want to work on tightening my special, I will look for him, because for me, I feel that I need people who is able to see structures well. Because for me, I don't want to deprive myself the joy, because yes, I do know that some people, they look for people to immediately work with and come up with jokes and all. But for me, I also don't want to deprive the learning on my own end, where I want to also get my jokes through the levels. That means perform them, write them, edit them, perform, write, perform, edit, and then rewrite, and then perform, until a point where I feel like, hey, it's already been 6 months I'm working on this bit and it's still not going anywhere. That's when I will like sort of like get someone to help me out, like pay another writer to let me like workshop with him together. But other than that, I also want to make sure that I go through the process myself, because if I do the shortcut, which is just to write the raw material and go to him, he will still make the money and he's still happy and all to help. But at the end of the day, I'm not learning, I'm not growing. My craft is not growing because I did not let myself go through the metamorphosis of joke writing. Like you start off with very rough materials and eventually you work to a point where it's so crisp and so good. That process is very important for every comedian. Yeah.
I think you should register for Joke Zoom. So Joke Zoom, which is now it's becoming a trade comedy. I think they are changing the name, but so it's comedians from New York, most of them. We meet in a Zoom. We are around like 30. We break into rooms. These rooms are like 4 or 5. And every comedian has 10 minutes to work in his joke.
Wow.
So you go there, it's like so for me, I feel like when you have joke, it's like, I don't know how to put it in words, but you have something. And then when you go to these comedians, you start fixing it, adding good tires. It's like you have car, you add good tires. And then you go to the audience and you also taste it. Is it working? No, it's not working. So you come back to the working room. Come on, let's fix this. Maybe we can change the color. Maybe we can. So Joke Zoom, we meet every day. That's why I changed to night shift. Every day I work in my jokes there, and then I go to the online mics. And if it doesn't work, I'm like, hey guys, maybe we should today try to change the engine. And then so
it's a lot of trial and error, actually, comedy.
Yeah, so it's free. I don't know what's the policy now when they change or this, but it should be okay because I can also talk with Rob, he's the owner. He's been doing comedy for 15 years in New York.
Wow.
I think this will help you a lot because you will be working with other comedians from New York who is open-minded. They will also encourage you to work on things and say things that you are even maybe conscious about. Where you are or the environment around you. They have good experience. They are always helpful. The community of comedy are amazing. So I will have to contact you, and Joke Zoom will help you a lot with your jokes because they are really experienced because they've been doing comedy for so long. You bring the funny and they are like mechanics, they are used
yeah. I think that is very important because I learned something that is like it is a very important truth in comedy, which is your friends at the dinner party, they are saying funny things, but you as a comedian, you say things funny. And that was like, wow, just a change in the word. Like funny things, of course they usually get a laugh, but you are saying thing funny. That means that thing could be painful, could be embarrassing, could be maybe to people it's boring, like Jerry Seinfeld, like people don't even care about certain things, but he make a big deal out of it. So he say things funny. So this is something that I'm like learning how to do it, like very important. It's not about funny things, but it's also because some things, like the premise is already funny, then you don't do much work. But when the premise is not very funny, that is when you have to do a lot of work to find the funny.
Some of them come easy, some of them you need to work harder. This is maybe my 13th podcast. I upload
Wow.
to YouTube like 5, but I think this is my 13 or 14 because I'm trying to
Oh,
have
wow.
more in stock.
Yes, yes.
I cannot do, but I feel like um, it's fascinating to talk to comedians. They are really special people. Every
Yeah.
interview, I really learn a lot. I enjoy, and really today you've been so great. I respect you so much, and you are the kind of people who like you before you talk to them, because you know when people talk, you actually know who they are, and I I like just talking to you in this podcast makes me just feel how great, how amazing you are. And I just wish you all the best with your journey, and you deserve it, and you are really worth it.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I also enjoy speaking with you, and I wish you every success in whatever you do. Because I saw you at the open mic the other time, and I find you hilarious, really. So I'm like, yes, I mean, it's like I say, one day I need to get you on I Love KL comedy show. That is what I think to myself that time. Yeah.
Wow, that's
So you have a definitely have a bright future. So keep working on your craft and also your podcast. Yes, because that's how Joe Rogan actually his podcast is now worth, wow, it's like it's really astronomical from the day it started.
yes.
The value is astronomical. Yeah. So keep working on it. So all of us, we are fighting the same battle. We are. I always say that we are not really fighting a battle. We are fighting a system. I like that word
Ideas and
system.
ideas.
It's a system that we are fighting with. So it is definitely an uphill battle, because we are not fighting against the gatekeeper at our comedy club. We are not fighting at of with our people who is surrounding us. We are not fighting with society. We are just fighting with the entire system. It's complicated. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's been made and ideas. However, and I also appreciate so much your time. You really
Yeah.
give your time and you stay in my podcast. It's really amazing. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much
Hopefully,
for having me too.
hopefully
Yeah.
I will see you in Joke Zoom.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Thank you
I will
so much
register
for
later.
letting me know. And then thank you so much for having me. And thank you also for for the exchange of knowledge, values, and experiences, because that's how we become a better human being by by meeting another awesome human being. Yes.
Juliana, you are so amazing.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yay.
God bless you. Bye bye.
God bless you. Bye bye.